out of here. You've overstayed your welcome. Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another Transformers figure review on the Transformers Combiner Wars. Not Hercules, not Giant, but Devastator! If you're trying to pre-order yours, you can do so at
Big! Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
Okay, I'm obviously very excited for this figure, especially since we saw it at New York Toy Fair over here. You can see the 6 different Constructicons right over there, and same thing, you can see there are 6 robot modes right there up at the top. And on the side, you get the same image of Devastator. And then on the back, you get this huge image of Devastator, and this is his actual size right here, 18 inches, and you can see all the other modes right there. Then there's read it. If you want to read it, pause it now. Not much going on this side, and it only says Combiner Wars right there at the bottom. All right, let's get to it and crack this thing open. And here are the figures out of the packaging, and I absolutely love this set. Throughout the video, you're going to hear me mention complaints about these figures, but I mean, really, the whole thing, when you see Devastator built, it's just all worth it, and all the little things that bug me about it. Like, for instance, the color green over here. I'm not a huge fan of this color green. It has a little bit more yellow in the hue than I'd like, but it's still a very good figure. And these are not packaged in their robot modes. So when you first get this guy, they're all packaged in their alt modes, and then the card and instructions are right here. You only get one card for all of these guys, and it's just Devastator right over there. There's the Autobot logo on the back, and the instructions right here fold out, so you get this huge sheet of instructions, which are very good instructions, by the way. There are weapons that are part of building Devastator, but I'm not a big fan of that because it just looks weird. I'll show it off later on, but you can take all the Devastator pieces and attach them for weapons, but the Takara version is going to come with weapons for these guys and a little bit more articulation. Then there's also the STCC version. If you want to see a review on that, check out JC's channel. Link is in the description below. But let's first take a look at each of these guys, and then we'll get them transformed into their alt modes, and then finally we'll see Devastator. So first off, here we are looking at Scavenger, and I think this is a cool robot mode. Very nice looking robot mode. Very solid. I like the paint apps and everything right here. He has a really good looking head sculpt. You get a lot of nice etched detail right here throughout the whole figure. One thing I'm noticing is that the Constructicon green looks better in lower lit settings. I think the plastic is a little on the thin side. Not brittle, but the way the plastic is, it just kind of brightens up the more light you give it. Now Scavenger actually has some pretty decent articulation. You can move his head side to side. It wobbles forward and back. Shoulders move outward. They rotate forward. He can kind of move it on that ball joint in and out a little bit here too. He bends 90 degrees at the elbow, rotates at the elbow. No waist swivel. His hip joints move outward a lot. You have to be careful because they're tabbed in right over here at the crotch. So if you get to, so you get untabs kind of easily. You can get him to kick forward a lot, move back. You get rotation at the knee. He bends 90 degrees at the knee, and he does have ankle pivot. And then here's looking at Long Haul, which is my least favorite robot mode for the Constructicons. I just don't like how he's huge compared to the rest of them. That's one thing I really liked about the Constructicons, is that they're all more or less the same exact height, and this guy's just gigantic compared to the rest of them, as you saw a minute ago. And George Costanza's head can move side to side over here. It can't really move up or down at all. I guess his shoulders move outward, they rotate forward. He doesn't bend at the elbow, just moves outward due to transformation. He does have the waist swivel, which is Devastator's waist swivel. Kind of have to detach this section to get that to really move, so I'm going to tab that back in. His hips move outward. These are Devastator hips, basically. Ow. And then he can, I pinched my finger, but yeah, you can get him to kick forward, moves back a little bit, rotates at the knee. He does have a knee bend right over there, and he does have ankle pivot. And here we have Hook, which is one of my favorite Constructicons. A lot of nice details right over here on the figure. A lot of nice etched out details even on the side. He does have a little bit of the hollow leg syndrome. It doesn't really bother me that much though, and he is leaning on the hook right there. These elbow joints look very weird and everything, but they did do a great job with getting all this sculpted detail right here on the chest. Hook has some decent head articulation. You can move his head side to side. It pivots and moves up and down just a little bit. His shoulders move outward only that much. You can rotate them forward. He does have an elbow bend right over here. He has no waist joint. Hips can move outward very far. You can get him to kick forward and back. Upper thigh swivel. Single jointed knee that doesn't really meet 90 degrees. His ankles move downward just a little bit, and they're on these tabs that pop off very easily. It's actually quite annoying, and just get that right back on there. So it could move up more so than move down, and he does have ankle pivot. And here's looking at Scrapper, the leader of the group. Probably one of the more disappointing figures from this set though. He is the shortest one, which I kind of don't like, and he also has the hollow legs right here on the back. Again, not bothering me so much with it being on the back of the figure. And I think the arms came out really short. I know the Takara version is supposed to have a joint right there on the elbows for this guy. Scrapper's head can move side to side. He can't look up and down so much, but it rocks a little bit. Shoulders move outward that much. He can rotate forward. No elbow bend or anything. He has no waist swivel. Hips move outward. He can kick forward and back. Upper thigh swivel. Single jointed knees, bends at 90 degrees, and he does have ankle pivot. And here's Mixmaster, one of my favorite robot modes amongst the Constructicons. I really like all the etched detail right here. Nice Decepticon logo and gold paint. Again, the arms are kind of weird. They seem to be weird on almost all of the figures. And the drum isn't actually touching the ground over here, so you can get him standing without him leaning on the drum, which is pretty cool. And I think the legs look pretty good for this guy. I mean, you can definitely see the front section of the cement truck, but still. And he has a really good looking head sculpt too. So I'm actually pretty impressed with the amount of head articulation we get on Mixmaster. You can actually do a full 360 right over here, even though he has this canopy piece right there, which is very G1 reminiscent. I like that. And it kind of wobbles forward and back only a tiny bit. Anyway, his shoulders move outward, they rotate forward. He bends at the elbow. He has elbow rotation, no waist joint. He can kick forward, back, upper thigh swivel. Well, it doesn't move back that much, but you get the upper thigh swivel, single jointed knee, and he does have ankle pivot. And then here's Bonecrusher, looking pretty awesome. I really like how the chest plate looks on this guy. Great looking head sculpt. Unfortunately, his crotch piece comes apart very easily. That's one of the most frustrating things about that figure for me. He has this piece hanging down right over here, which surprisingly doesn't really bother me so much. Bonecrusher's head could rotate side to side. You get a little bit rocking back and forth. Shoulders move outward, they move forward. He bends all the way at the elbow due to transformation. He can rotate at the elbow as well. No waist swivel again. He can kick forward, he can kick back. He bends at the knees right here, rotates at the knee, and no ankle movement up and down, but he does have the ankle pivot. So here's all 6 of them lined up side by side, and of course George Costanza sticking out like a sore thumb over there. Scrapper being the shortest one in the group, which surprises me because he's the leader, so I don't really like that he's the shortest one. After removing Mixmaster and Bonecrusher from the lineup, you can see that Hook is standing a little over 8 inches tall, Scrapper's under 8 inches, and Long Haul is definitely standing closer to the 9-inch mark. Here's our remaining Constructicons compared to the TFC not Scavenger, and we have the G1 Mixmaster over here. This Scavenger figure has not stood the test of time. His shoulder broke right over there. It's just being held together with wax for the moment. And comparing these Constructicons to the Fireflight figure and the breakdown from the Superion and Menasor, you can see these guys are much larger. And then here they are next to MP Prime and Classics Prime, and I think these guys are supposed to be Masterpiece scale. Look at that. Next to MP Prime, that's Masterpiece scale, man. And here they are next to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. Ow, weapons! Yeah, so here's the Constructicons with the other pieces that we need to form Devastator, and they're all taken apart. So these are the forearms / the hands over here. This is the blaster and 2 pieces right there between Hook and Scrapper. We have the chest plate and then the wings right over there for the chest plate. I think it looks kind of weak, actually, to be honest with you. I really wish they had their individual weapons, but oh well. Anyway, let's get to transforming each of these guys. Will you take us away, Bumblebee? Okay, so we're going to start with Scavenger over here, and I have to say, the transformations for all of these figures, and even the Devastator mode and everything, is very easy. I really like that a lot. So you just collapse the feet right over here, and put those together. Do the same thing on this side right there, and then these will shoot right in, so you just put that right in there, and then this lower section is going to fold apart. It actually has 2 hinges, so let's get that detached. It's kind of there it goes. Alright, so there's hinge 1, and then there's a hinge 2 right there, and then we're going to collapse or move this piece down, move the head in, and come on, get in there. Alright, and then we're going to move this canopy piece up, and then move this section up, and then this arm is going to swing down. Then we could fold that out, tuck the hand in, and then fold this down, so that's going to line up right there. There's a tab right in here, and it's going to tab into the side. Do a similar thing on this side. This side does not have the canopy piece. Fold the hand in right there, and then get this all tabbed into place. And then we're going to move this hinge downward over here, and then there's going to be this tab sticking out. That's going to connect there. This tab over here, or this slot, is going to go into that tab. And you can just see how that connects nicely. I got this arm piece undone again, but you know, we rotate this all the way around and get that connected into the 2 ports. And there we have Scavenger. The Scavenger looks really good. Again, I like the nice etched out detail throughout on this. This does not feel cheaply made or anything. You know, it's just really good looking. Even the inside of this has some nice detail in it. You get articulation over here with the shovel, so you can move this up and forward. You can hinge right over here, and he has rotation right over here too. Fortunately, there's no hinge right over here. I was kind of hoping this piston thing would work, but nah, that doesn't function at all. And he does roll pretty nicely too, so that's really cool. cool. He has little wheels right here on the sides by the tracks. So yeah, not a bad looking Scavenger. Now looking at George Can't Stand Ya, you want to lift this piece right up here, okay? And we're going to move that arm out of the way, and he has to do a 180 right over here with the legs. Get this section all tabbed together. Going to swing this in right here. Get these legs straightened out. Push the head down, and then these arms you want to swing out of the way. Swing that out of the way, and then move this whole piece up, and it's just all going to collapse together and form the bed of the dump truck. And then you have two hinges right here on the arms. You want to rotate them so that the wheels are facing the correct direction, and then there's a tab here and a tab here, and that's where that's all going to connect. And come on, there we go. And then the arms just tab into this little piece right there. I like how there's a lot of tabs on all of these figures. You know, it really makes it a lot easier keeping everything together. I just think the engineering on this is just quite brilliant. It's funny, as I say that, I'm having a hard time getting this tab together. The life of a reviewer, but yeah, there it goes. It works out pretty well. And then again, get this tabbed in right over there on that silver piece, and boom. Now I did notice right out of the packaging, this little section kind of, you know, comes apart easily. It's frustrating. This side, not so much. Then here's looking at the bed to the dump truck. It looks alright. It does not function, unfortunately. That's a bit of a bummer. I think the Takara version is supposed to have chromed out or vac metaled rims right over here, which would be nice to see, but you know, right now I'm just really happy to have the Devastator, you know. But this is looking pretty cool. The grill looks alright, you know, nice Decepticon logo. Pretty cool looking long haul. He's gigantic. I mean, just looking at him next to Scavenger over here, I mean, damn, that's huge. And he does roll pretty well. I mean, he's kind of blocky and heavy, but I see all the wheels rolling for the most part. I don't know, I feel like this crotch flap thing kind of gets in the way a little bit, so there's that. But yeah, not a bad looking long haul, it's just huge. Now for hook, you just want to rotate the head, do a 180 right there. You kind of want to get this piece kind of detached. It has two hinges right inside there. It's kind of tricky to see. Straighten out that arm, straighten out that arm. Start to move this back over here and get this folded back. So like I said, it has two hinges, so you need it to swing all the way backwards, then get the arms connected right there at the top. And there are tabs that are going in over here, and then get that straightened out. And then the legs kind of collapse. Well, you want to move the foot down. Damn it, that hinge! This comes apart really easily. I had mentioned that earlier. But yeah, you want to collapse that, or separate that, I mean. And then get this all swung out over here. This piece hinges outwards, so it's kind of tricky to see, but yeah, because it happens on the scrapper figure also. And looking at this side too, so you want to get that detached and then get this detached right over here, so this kind of swings away. There it goes. And then you can see you can collapse it back together and get that in there and move this down, and then this all tabs nicely towards the front. Get that all nice and tight. Now hook is definitely one of the more disappointing alt modes for me. This does not come out over here, and I know there's a third-party piece for this in the works already, but you know, it's okay. But yeah, I'm bothered by it. And this section doesn't rotate over here at all. You know, it could shift side to side, so you could do that, but that's mostly just due to transformation. But yeah, so I'm not really happy about that. You know, this doesn't, you know, extend or anything like that. And he rolls okay. Really not one of my favorite alt modes though from the bunch. But I will say I greatly appreciate how they have all this textured detail right here, you know? So there's no flat spots or any boring sections of these figures. I really dig that. Now for Scrapper, we're gonna tuck the head. And alright, just put that right there. And then his arms are gonna fold in, and we're gonna fold in right here. Oh, the hands are actually supposed to go in there. My bad. So you want to do that first and then put this together. And then just like the hook figure, you want to move the feet out of the way, and then this is going to separate over here, and then do the same thing to the other side. Move this out of the way, and then this is going to collapse on itself. Move the foot down so you can get that right in there, and then get this collapsing on itself, and then move that in, and then fold that down here, and then just get everything tabbed into place, and boom. Ooh, that didn't sound nice. And then get that in, and then his whole shovel and everything moves forward right there, and then you can get that like that. I mean, that was really, really fast and easy. Not a bad looking Scrapper. I actually like this Scrapper. This is actually one of my favorite ones for the alt modes, and you get this movability right over here, so this moves up and down, and then you also get a hinge right over here too, so at least that's cool. And he rolls pretty well, you know. And Mixmaster's transformation is pretty easy as well. Just throw this back right here, and then tuck the head down like that, and then the legs you just fold in and connect them right here. So there's tabs right here, here, and here, and here. That's all gonna collapse and then tuck into the drum, and then fold the arms downward and collapse them in. And there's a tab right in there that you can see it just nicely goes right into. and get that put together. And there we go, we have Mixmaster. Looking really, okay. He rolls the best, I will say that. And hear that, that is a loud Mixmaster. Now, I don't know why they went with this design. It's probably how he looks in the IDW comics, because it seems like these Combiner Wars are all just going with that look over anything else. But a lot of nice sculpted detail over here. I just kind of wish that, you know, we got the silver paint treatment a little bit more on the front of this thing. And I believe the Takara version will have chrome over here too. But yeah, this is looking pretty nice, you know, kind of a weird looking alt mode, but not terrible. The drum does not rotate, by the way, so that's a bummer. And then lastly, we have Mr. McFloppy Crotch over here, and this is the most frustrating part of the whole figure set, is that this doesn't connect so well. And there are 3 contact points. You get a tab here, and then the green tabs on the front and back, and it just doesn't really work out. So that's a bit frustrating. But anyway, the transformation, you want to move this piece downward, you want to move the arms out, get these silver pieces facing you like that, and then fold this in right here, fold that in right over there. You're gonna move this whole section back, and this is gonna have, you know, these big pieces. You can move the head in, fold this down, get these connected, so right like that, and then this whole piece connects right here towards the front. And then you can move this down. There's this little port right there that goes into that little notch that's sticking out, so that goes in nicely. And then the legs pretty much fold in the same way how they did on Scavenger, where you put the toes in, get the little dozies right over there, and the dozies slide the legs together. And then the floppy crotch moves out of the way very nicely. And then you can just move this up and rotate these outward or inward, I guess. Then, like the Scavenger, there's a tab right here towards the front and another tab right here on the back, and you can just get that connected like so. Get that in there, then rotate this all the way around and get that tabbed in and tabbed in right there. And then you can fold this up in here like that. And I do like this alt mode. A lot of detail right over here on the tracks. Love the Decepticon logo right there, dead center. You know, the canopy looks pretty solid. A lot of etched out detail throughout on this guy. So yeah, it's a pretty solid alt mode. And he rolls okay. You know, he's got these wheels right here that are actually right in the middle, and some wheels right over there. But he's mostly rolling on this piece right here. So that works out really well. And then here's all 6 Constructicons lined up side by side over here. Long haul still sticking out like a sore thumb. Here's some of the Constructicons compared to G1 Mixmaster over here. And you can see the Constructicon green is just slightly different. I do wish that it looked a little bit closer to this. And then here they are next to the Deluxe Class Age of Extinction Bumblebee. So these guys are definitely larger than Deluxe Class figures. I don't know. Kind of somewhere in between Deluxe Class and Voyager Class, but definitely larger than Deluxe. And to compare these guys to another Combiner Wars figure, we have the Combiner Wars Firefly, and then here they are next to Breakdown. Then here are the figures next to the TFC Not Scavenger over here. So looking at the 2 Scavengers side by side like this, they're more or less about the same size. Alright, let's get these guys transformed into their 3rd and final mode. Will you take us away, Bumblebee? Okay, so first we're going to start out with the leader. Let's go with Scrapper over here. So we're going to just move that in right there. That should tab in nicely, and then we're going to rotate this around. These going to move out, rotate that down, very similar to the G1 figure, and then tab this back into place. Very important that that's tabbed in securely. And then this piece is going to fold down, and then move this up right here. And then now we have the right leg of Devastator. And get this re-tabbed. All right, put that aside. We got Mixmaster over here. Lift this part up, move this part out right over there, move the legs out completely, or you want to untab the arms first, sorry. Untab the arms and then move this out, and then move this, separate this, move this out of the way so that you can get this, and then his little arm pops off on me quite easily. But move this out, do the same thing on the other side, move the ankle pivot out of the way, and then move this up over here, and then get this all re-tabbed into place. Let's get that re-dabbed. Okay, it's re-dabbed, and then tuck that right back in, and then put the hands back and reattach this guy. It's not broken, it just comes off easily. And then there we have the left leg of Devastator, so put that back there. Alright, now we get George over here. Okay, so I'm gonna just detach this piece and move the legs away. So move this up, get the crotch flap and everything, moving that forward. The directions show you how to do this actually from robot mode, but it's still easy doing this over here. And you want to move the arms out of the way here too, so I forgot to mention that. So get the arms untabbed and move out of the way like that. And then this back piece right here is going to fold down on these legs, so move that back, and then move this back over here. And then this is going to swing outward. You get this little piece that's going to swing out like that. Just move it 90 degrees. We can get this front section up and move that down Then make sure this is tabbed into the back right over here. And you want to make sure that this little tab right here is facing upwards, and then it's going to tab into this section right over here when you move this up, kind of just like how he looked when he was in robot mode. So going to move that in and do the same thing on this side, move that up. Fold the hands upward or the arms inward like that, and that's our midsection to Devastator. So let's go ahead and get this connected. This little slot right here is going to go into that port right there. These two guys are going to go into these two sections right over here up top, and then this little notch right here goes in there. So there's a lot of connecting points, and it makes it just a very solid piece. And we're just getting all that right into place, and it's not very difficult at all. Damn, that is so cool. That looks so good, man. All right, and then on this side over here, the geeking out factor for me on this is just extreme, by the way. I'm trying to hold my composure over here. Anyway, this tab goes into this piece, and then these two pieces come over here, and this has to swing right out. So there and there it goes into, and get that all into place. Let's see here, without getting all sloppy with it. All right, yeah, that's all tabbed in, and that's all tabbed in. You want to make sure that these inner thigh pieces are going inward. So, all right, it's already getting formed. All right, now let's go with hook over here. With hook, you want to make sure that you move this arm out of the way. So you're going to fold this down, and then it's going to split in two parts right here and right over there. And just get that connected right in the middle. He's going to have this piece that swings all the way down. That's going to connect to long haul. There's another piece that connects to long haul right over there. And those two tabs that I mentioned earlier, they're going to port into here, and there's another spot right over there. So let's get that all situated and getting this all lined up. Kind of tricky to do on camera. It's actually... yeah, actually, no, it's coming along a little bit even easier than I thought. All right, just need that tab right in over there. Okay, actually, there it goes. So you're going to lift this canopy piece up and then swing that out, and this piece just swings outward over here. So going front to back. Oh, I forgot his head, by the way. Well, we'll say that to the end. I don't know, a little throwback to Voltron. Okay, so this is coming outwards over here. You want to fold this in. This is going to swing all the way out. This is supposed to come on, swing out. There it goes. And then you want to rotate this around so that this port is sticking upwards. Then keep these guys back over here. And then he's going to connect into this port right here. It's, I don't know, it's just not the strongest port on this figure. But anyway, come on, get on. Yeah, there we go. All right, now it doesn't just connect there. These tracks are going to connect to this tab that you can see right there. Well, it's kind of tricky to see, but there's a tab right there. And we're going to get that all nicely secured. And then the front part of these tracks are going to connect to the chest plate. And then finally we have Bonecrusher. So we're going to do a similar thing where we're going to separate the legs and then just swing this part out over here. And then make sure that this piece is moved all the way inward. It has two hinges. And I did mention that this guy has articulation right here, didn't I? I don't know. I may have missed that. But he does have articulation right there. And then it's going to connect a similar way on the left side of Devastator. So just put that right in the port. Come on, get it in. Get it in. There it goes. And then again, we have this tab sticking out that goes into that track section. So we can take his forearms. You remember these guns right over here. Just fold the fist out, and there's this little piece that comes down right there so the figures can hold them when they're in their robot mode. Then there's the fingers right there. Then rotate the wrist, and then just plug this right in. There's a port. Whoop. Yep, there it goes. So the wrist came off on me. That's happened before. A little annoying, but not the worst thing in the world. And then this guy is supposed to rotate this around right here and then do the same thing. Okay, there that goes. Sometimes you just got to feel it out. Get this tabbed right back in there. Then we have these two pieces for the gun. You just put that together and it just nicely fits right into his hand. It has this rectangular shape and it just goes right into the hand right there. And you want to use the fingers to hold it into place. But yeah, it goes in there very, very nicely. And then we have this piece right here, the chest plate and the wings. Get these all attached. And, you know, I never really bothered trying to attach these to the alt modes. I just don't think it, you know, looks cool or anything. So I didn't even really bother. So sorry about that if you really wanted to see that. Anyway, he has tabs right over here. There's this tab section, this tab section. It's going to go into the track section over here and over here. And that's going to really help things, you know, stay together nicely. And then we also get tabs right over here that are going to attach to long haul. So getting this all situated is a little tricky. But, you know, once it comes together, it's really, really nice looking. And get that lower section connected to long haul. All right, this keeps splitting on me towards the top over here. That annoys me. And then lastly, I will form the head, and that comes into place and it tabs right there. And we have Devastator. God, look at this thing. It is just incredible. I feel like anything that Hasbro's pissed me off with in the past, I just want to let it go right now. I'm just so happy with this. Any past grievances with Hasbro, it's over, man. Yeah, you gave us this Devastator over here. And I don't even care if it's a different department that gave us the crappy Marvel Legends or whatever, man. We have a full-on Devastator. It is just incredible. Fantastic job. Let's turn this around so you can see the back of it. Look at the legs. The legs are solid on this guy. The long haul back piece isn't too big or anything. I just think this came out really, really well. They did a great job on this. Now, it's my understanding that all these Combiner Wars figures are based off of the IDW comic versions of these combiners. So that's why we have this head sculpt right over here, which they did a really good job with. You can see there's nice sculpted detail right there on the lower section. And then the visor looks really good. The silver paint is great on this. Just doing a 360 on the head right here. This is just really well done. I love how the chest plate on this figure came out. Even has that kind of rocket boost shape right there on that top part right over there. The paint came out very clean on this. Very nice Decepticon logo over there. I mean, the legs just came out awesome on this. I just really dig that a lot. I know the Takara version is supposed to have back metal right over here on the front of Mixmaster, and it's supposed to have back metal wheels, I think, too, or rims anyway. That is just looking really, really solid to me, though. I'm just so pleased with this thing. And just the way that it holds together, it's just so well done. I love how the long haul parts actually match up really nicely to the leg sections. It's almost seamless, you know? It looks like these parts right over here and here are actually part of Scrapper. Another thing that surprises me with this figure is that they didn't go with the purple right here for the forearms. These are actually all just black. It doesn't really bother me so much. It really doesn't. Now, one of my favorite parts about this figure is the articulation. They just killed it, man. Alright, so the head rotates side to side. It cannot look up and down. Well, I guess you could make it look up like that, but it doesn't really move up and down at all. That doesn't bother me. Now, the arms do move forward over here. You can move them outward. This arm over here is a little bit more stiff, and I have some trouble getting that tabbed in correctly, so I'd like to hold this down when I move the right arm. It's just a lot more stiff than the left arm, but that has the same amount of articulation. You can even bend it further upwards like that. But anyway, he does have elbow bends that do meet at 90 degrees, so you can rotate them all the way through like that. And you can turn them side to side. He does have wrist swivels over here, and he has finger clamping action right there. He has a waist swivel that can rotate quite a bit. Very, very nice clickety joint right there. Turns all the way that side. Now this little piece is coming a little apart on me. Now you can lift these flaps up right here and you can show off the hip articulation, which is incredible, man. I just love that. Look at that. You can get that kicking all the way outward like that. You can move this leg all the way forward. Let's see. Oh, now it has two joints right there. That's the long haul knee joint, I think. So you want to kind of keep that thigh together as you bend that. Moves back also. So you get this forward joint, which isn't really supposed to be a joint, and he does bend here at the knee, and he bends at 90 degrees, which is great. And we also get rotation over here at the upper thigh, so we can rotate the legs. And then he has ankle pivot, man. Look at that. Oh, that's so sick. Same thing with this side. It's not as good on the Mixmaster side, but the ankle pivot is there. It can move inward. I love that. This figure's advertised to stand at 18 inches tall. I think he's standing a little bit taller than that, somewhere between 18 and 19 inches. And here's Devastator compared to my two other Generations Combiner Wars figures. We have Superion and Menasor, and these two pale in comparison to this Devastator. Look how big that guy is. I really like the Superion figure, by the way, and I do have Power Glide. I don't need to add him to that. Not only do I think this figure is much better than these two only because of the size, but the articulation is just superb compared to these guys. And here's our Generations Devastator compared to the TFC Hercules, and we have G1 Devastator down there. So while I complained about the green color over here, I feel like this guy does look a little bit closer to G1 Devastator than the TFC Hercules, which I have praised for years, and I still think that this is a great third-party combiner, but just having this guy here now, it's just much better, man. The articulation, I think, is even a little bit better aside from the fingers and the hands. The plastic quality is just amazing. I just feel like this guy is never going to break on me. I don't want to say never, but it is very, very strong, high-quality plastic. And then here's Devastator compared to the TRU Masterpiece Prime, and we have our classics Optimus Prime down there. And this thing is so huge compared to Optimus right there. That is a Masterpiece figure, dude. I feel like this is the closest we've had to a combiner in Masterpiece scale ever. I just think this is very, very close to MP scale. Definitely works well with the classics over there. But just the fact that this Masterpiece Prime looks so small next to Devastator over here hits the geek spot so hard. And then here's Devastator compared to the Mastermind Creations Pharaoh Rex, aka not Predaking. And I thought this guy was the closest thing to being in Masterpiece Combiner scale, but wow, man. Look how small he looks compared to Devastator. And the only Transformer figure I have to make this Devastator look a little small is the STCC Metroplex. Thanks again, Sean Long. Wow, yeah, so there's your major size difference there. And then here's Devastator compared to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. Huh? So you guys know how I feel about this figure. I absolutely love it. For 150 bucks, man, it's a hell of a deal. I just don't see how you could pass up on this if you have the 150 to spend. Anyway, hope you guys liked my review. If you did, please hit the like button. Click any of these boxes over here for more Shart in your face. And for those of you contributing to the Patreon account, I really appreciate it. I actually made some changes right there so you guys can get the bonus footage a little bit easier. And then don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and go to tformers.com for a photo gallery of images from this review. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
That's crispy.
And then here's, God damn it, dude. This is so cool.